border to border. We are here lining up to get things in order. This is the Life and In Between podcast. My name is Patrick Pacman Perez, joined today by Jason Mendez and the ever awesome Diana Gonzalez. And we have a special guest jumping in today. It's going to be a really interesting, amazing, eye-opening conversation because not only is our guest a well-known creative, I'll say that to not spoil it, but he is also the offspring of one of our hosts. so I will now turn it over to the creator of our guest creator. Deanna, introduce our guest today.
Well, I love that. Yes. Hi. Well, I'm going to introduce this fantastic human being. His name is Franky Gonzalez, my one and my oldest son that I love dearly. And so I hope he's very kind today with me.
No promise.
So you're going to hear the good, the bad, the ugly from him. So, Franky, can you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone at Life in Between. My name is Franky Gonzalez. I'm a playwright, television writer, and screenwriter. I split my time between Los Angeles and the Dallas-Fort Worth region, depending on the job. And yeah, I am just so very happy to be here. I've been writing since I was 4, but I became involved in script writing at 16. So it's been a little bit more than half my life that I've been doing this. And yeah, just happy to be here right now.
Yeah. Hey, yo, Franky. Very cool. Very cool.
Just, I guess, throw it out there. Like, how did you get into this writing? You said you started at 4 years old.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, a lot of people say, I like to write. I'm going to write a book. And like 99% of the population, but you're actually making this your living and sustaining yourself. So take us on that journey.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. It's really interesting discovering that I fell in love with words. It was this one time my uncle had left his Walkman behind. We were living in Queens, New York, and he left his Walkman behind my mother's place. And one day I was able to go in and listen to it. And it was actually Biggie Smalls' Ready to Die. An album that no 4-year-old should be listening to at all, ever. And yet, for me, I just fell in love with the kind of rhyme schemes and the flow that Biggie was putting down in that. I always remember like the lyric, your face, my feet, they meet with something. I'm ripping MCs from Tallahassee to Compton. It's just like this amazing thing. The beats were great. Don't get me wrong, it's a seminal album, but I knew I wanted to be involved with words since that day, since that moment I listened to my uncle's Walkman. And I quickly discovered I wasn't a very good rapper. I realized I wasn't a very good poet either. My short stories were so, and I did not have the attention span for longer form writing like novels. But I knew I wanted to write. I thought I was going to be a nonfiction writer, like a historian, or I was going to do something, but it was always words. It was always had to do something with words, and to use their immense power to move individuals, because it's just like words always have this tremendous effect to me. I can't really explain it. To be able to hear a well-executed line or a beautiful poem is unlike anything else for me. And so I just kept pursuing writing again and again. Eventually, we went from Queens, New York, down to Texas after a brief interlude in Florida. And my mother was enrolling us in some classes. I remember it was Denton High School. And
who is your mom? Remind our listeners who your mom is.
Yes, Diana, dear old Diana here. She told me, you're gonna take a theater class, and I was like, no, Mom, I ain't gonna do that. That's not me. I'm not. I do that Romeo stuff. And she's like, you're gonna be cultured. You're gonna be refined. You need to do the arts. You're gonna do theater. You understand me? And so I took a theater, and
Well, I want to unpack that real quick, because this seems to be a common thread with Mexican moms. It's a lot of my friends have said kind of the same thing, that it's that the pushing, you're gonna do this. So you were resistant, and what were you kind of feeling in that? Like, no, like if you didn't do this, what else would you want to do?
I don't know. To be honest, I do not know what I would have done with my life if the theater hadn't found me, because I knew I wanted to be a writer, but I didn't quite have any kind of direction in my life. And there was this, I think, this worry, and I think a legitimate one, that I hadn't found my thing at that point, and I was just kind of drifting aimlessly. There were a lot of people that say that they want something. But until they have a direction by which they can face to get toward that something, it really is just that. It's just words. And so being made to take that theater class was able to get me some kind of direction in my life towards what I wanted. Because up until that point, I just knew vaguely I want to write, but I don't know what I want to write. I don't know how I want to write. Yeah. And I knew I wasn't a very decent writer at the time. Or that I couldn't stick to the thing, but I wanted that thing. Kind of like how a basketball player wants to play hoops, but he doesn't play, he doesn't practice, he doesn't go and join a sport or a team. And it was really that for a while. But I had always been encouraged by my mother and a lot of the men of my family to read in lieu of a father who was not very present. I had people like my uncle, my grandfather, encourage me to read books, encourage me to be that writer. I think it was my grandfather that said, you can't be a good writer without having read other good writers. And so I would be made to read like Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I would read up Pablo Neruda. I would read some of the greats like Franz Kafka, Samuel Beckett. And it was just one of those things that was really instilled in me, that if I wanted to learn how to be a good writer, I got to know good writing. And so I always had some kind of book with me at all times. And in this theater class that I was being forced to take by my mother, the theater teacher, dear Diana, but the theater teacher caught that I love to read. And she asked me one day, she said, have you ever read a play before? And I said, yeah, I mean, everyone has read a play by that point. I'm 16, junior in high school. And by then I'd read Romeo and Juliet in English class. They made us do that. And it was boring. And so I was just like, yeah, I've read it. And she said, no. Have you ever read a play before? And she gave me 3 plays. And I read those 3 plays in one night. I'll never forget them. Federico Garcia Lorca's Bodas de Sangre, Blood Wedding. Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot, and then Luigi Pirandello's 6 Characters in Search of an Author. There are 3 massive plays in the playwriting world, and I read them in a night, and I knew this is all I ever want to do for the rest of my life. Wow! I only ever want to do this. And so I pursued it. And in that first summer, from when I found theater, I read something like 180 plays. I checked out every single play I could from the library. I read through all of Shakespeare. I read through Miller, O'Neill, Beckett, whomever it was. I read it. I absorbed it. I needed to know about plays and theater. I felt like I had so much catching up to do. And so from the age of 16 on, I considered myself a playwright. And from the age of 16 until the age of 27, it was all rejection. Nothing. I got no traction whatsoever in my career. Zero. I went to college for it. I wanted this thing so badly, and no matter what, it would always be, dear Mr. Gonzalez, thank you so very much for your submission. We had an overwhelming number of submissions this year. However, we are unfortunately unable to offer you a slot. Oh, it was so competitive. Please submit again next year. I got thousands of those. And I wish I was exaggerating, but when you're doing the life of a freelance artist, you have to submit constantly, because you need to have as much revenue coming in as possible, because it'll be like a $500 prize here, $200 10-minute play production there, those kinds of things that you would be competing for. And so it was nothing but rejections till the age of 27, when it first started working out for me. I finally got my first yes, and that had to come with a lot of difficult moments and dark kind of nights of the soul, where I didn't know if I could pursue or continue the writing thing. I didn't know if it was the right thing to do because 3 years before the first yes, I became a father. I became at 24. I'd become a dad, and when you have a child, and I think that anyone who's had to pay the bills can relate to this. You sometimes have to wonder if the dream is worth it. If the dream is worth the kind of sacrifice that not you're going to make, because I think everyone is able to make those sacrifices, but rather what your child is going to risk, and I put on a production in 2016, and it failed spectacularly. I was 24 at this time. My son was only a few months old. It was in May of 2016. It failed horribly. The play went well. I loved how the play turned out, but it sold nothing. I was deep bad in the red.
And you self-finance this? Is that?
Yeah. My finances were completely shot. I risked it all, thinking this is how I'm going to introduce myself into the theater world, because being a new dad at 24, I realized that it was going to be next to impossible to be able to pursue a graduate degree, because I would have to focus my time and my efforts on raising my son and making sure that he had money. He had food, he had his basics taken care of. But I remember the production that we put on. Again, very proud of it. Nothing against the actors or any of the team that I work with, but I made zero. We at one point were playing to audiences of one, like just one person came to see the show, and I had $14 left in my account. $14, and formula is 45. And I remember we were counting pennies from a jar that I'd been saving up for years and years with my wife. And she asked me, it was the first time she ever asked me. And since then, the question does come up again and again. She asked me, is this theater stuff really worth it? We have no money. We have none of this. We're seeing if we have enough pennies to be able to afford formula. And I could have asked for help. I could have leaned in, but it felt as that Latin Colombian macho pride played in at that moment. It's like I couldn't ask for help for my own son. I can't ask to get money to feed him. No, that's not something that I did. I knew what was going to happen. I was going to get told, well, "Why did you do that play? You didn't have the money. You didn't do that." And there's always that old saying, you have to take a gamble on yourself. You have to do all this, and the gamble didn't work out. And we had enough money. Fortunately, we had enough money. We made it to the $45, and my wife said, "This is." She's a very proud woman, and she was like, "This is humiliating. You're going to have me pay with a card and with coins at the store." And I said, "I'll go do it." She said, "No, I need you to stay. I need you to stay with your son, and I really need you to think about this." And my kid's he was born December 24th. This is May, so he's not even 6 months old yet. And he's sleeping in the crib, and I say, "Hey, kiddo, I know you've been hearing me and your mom. We've been fighting a lot lately, and she wants what's best, and I haven't been keeping on my end, and that's my fault. And I wish I could do better. I want to do better, but your dad's a failure. That's just what I am." And I was talking, all like pouring out my emotions to the sleeping child. And then it hit me that I'm probably writing the greatest monologue that I have ever committed to paper as I'm saying this. And I knew I had to get this thing down, these feelings. And it was at that moment that the revelation hit. Whenever you're making a business, whenever you're creating work, if you're making as an artist, business owner, it doesn't matter. You have to know who your audience is and who you're trying to create work for and what you're trying to create that work for. And up to that point in my life, I wanted to be a great American writer. I wanted to write the next Sam Shepard play. I wanted to write the next Tennessee Williams classic. I wanted to be Eugene O'Neill and be this beloved writer. And so I was trying to write good stories. And the plays from that point in my life were good. They're decent, but they lacked something. And I realized what that was. They were lacking my intention to communicate with an audience.
Mm-hmm.
And at that moment, in saying all these words to my son, I had found my audience. And I began writing for and to and only about my son. He became my muse. Anything that I write, it is directed for him. If I should ever become successful, I get the Pulitzer, New York Times Critics Pick, all the awards, all of that, and my son doesn't like it, then the play was an utter failure because it didn't reach its audience. And so I spent a long time just leaning in on writing for him and toward him. And I began writing a play about inmates, a play about prison, and I wanted to let my son know with the story, along with tell these people for whom the story was derived from, where the good men of my life came from, and where I gained the knowledge that I do have about what a positive male figure is. Because other than those experiences in visiting rooms, I really had no very positive male figures in my life. In lieu of my father, I mean. And I remember I was getting ready. I was like, okay, I can put this play on, and myself, I can do this thing. And that's when both my mother and my wife kind of intervened at that moment. It's like, I think you forgot the last failure that left you in the red, and now you're going to try to put this one on. No, you need to actually try to get recognized by professional theaters. You need to actually try to go and do this thing, because this theater habit is more expensive than smoking. You need to you need to do this. And I remember specifically, my mother, Diana, had said, I'm not going to let you put my grandson through any kind of suffering because of your ego.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to do this, you're going to do this professionally, and you're going to try to get recognition for your work. And this might be something that a lot of people relate to. A lot of people might feel kind of as if they're not able to do those things, those amazing things, because they don't have the pedigree. In many of these playwriting contests and many of these kinds of these awards that are given out, they're really, they say it's open, but oftentimes you will see that it is for people that went to Yale, for people that went to the Ivy League, that went to Juilliard, that went to all of the big name schools. And I didn't have that. I had a UNT degree. Love UNT. Caw, Eagles, yes.
Caw.
Yeah, exactly. Caw. But it wasn't Brown. It wasn't NYU. It wasn't Columbia. It wasn't any of those places where I saw all the winners went to these places. And I thought to myself, I'm never going to make it. I don't have the pedigree. My mother was like, just try. Well, what's the worst that can happen? Well, you lose like $20 on a submission fee. You get told no. So what? And, before I became a full-time artist, I was selling phones, and being told no was a common occurrence. Calling people blindly and being like, hey, do you want to buy this cell phone? And they're like, no. Or trying to reach out to people and say, hey, do you want to, I'm fundraising for this thing. I worked for a fundraiser at one point. So I was told no all the time. And my mother tried to frame it very much like that. Diana framed it like, they're just going to tell you no, just like in sales. Just go out and do it. And I applied a lot of the things that I learned in sales, and a lot of the wisdom that I had in that to be able to weather the storm of it, of being told no. And for years and years, just rejections. And for 3 more years, I had more rejections, even with this piece that I was very proud of, until finally the yes came. And when that yes came, when they say it happens quick, it turns really quickly. It just overnight, I went from constant rejection to I got the big one. Then suddenly I have agents. Suddenly I have a manager. Suddenly I'm writing for television. Suddenly I have lawyers. Suddenly I'm making my money off this. I'm getting productions. I'm winning awards. And it just happened. And I'll never forget, after winning one contest, one of the writing committee people, the selection committee, came up to me and said, for years I've been rooting for you. It just never really worked out. And I always hoped that you would submit again. And maybe this would be your year, because I'm such a fan of your work. And I'm so happy that finally the stars aligned up for this moment.
Wow.
It took 11 years. And that's the thing is a lot of people saw, oh, look, you're 27. You finally, you did this thing. It's like, I was 6. It was 11 years of being told no. It was 11 years of not being liked by the theater kids. Because I liked hip hop too much. I really wasn't into musicals. I love my weird straight plays where it's the kitchen sink drama, my psychological dramas, all of that. And so I really didn't fit in. And it's funny that I didn't fit in with the theater kids. I'm the only one from I'm one of the last 2 or 3 people from my graduating class, certainly from my high school class. But for my college class, last 2, 3 people that is still in this industry, even though I didn't fit in the department. But it's really that it was just this constant stream of rejection after rejection. I mean, heck, I just got a rejection last night. And
congratulations.
Hooray, yes, rejection number 10,000. But it was just a keep on going, and don't worry too much about the failure of it all. And something that I had started telling myself in order to deal with rejection, and rejection's easy now. That's not a difficult thing. It's never personal. I don't take it as a referendum on myself. But I say to myself, and it's a joke. It's sad, but it helps me get through. It's like I already gotten the worst rejection of all. I got rejected by my father. What could they possibly do that's going to be worse than this? They can only say no. They can't take life. They can't do anything. It's just a no. After the worst of it, I can deal with any single rejection, no matter what. And I've just been at it since then. I transitioned over to television, but I still love the theater. I still do theatrical work. I do screenwriting here and there, but yeah, since that day, from 27 on, it was theater and TV has just been sustaining me.
Amazing.
Good night. Good night. Whoa.
Wow.
So I do have a question for you, Franky. Out of all the pieces that you have written, all the work that you have done, which is the one that you hold very close and dear to you?
That's different.
Tell me.
Every single one of them I hold dear and close to me for different reasons, because as a playwright, I find that I want to explore some aspect of myself that I desperately can't really explore through the act of talking about it from a biographical standpoint until fairly recently when I started doing solo shows. But all of my plays are very, very, very important to me, whether it's a short little 10-minute play, a monologue, or a full-length play. I think if we're talking about the one that has gotten me the most success, that will probably be my boxing play, That Must Be the Entrance to Heaven. It's about 4 Latino boxers who all need the world title for different reasons. And they sit in the middle of a black hole that can theoretically grant you wishes. If it's an actual thing, it's called the Reisner-Nordstrom de Sitter black hole. I am not a physicist. I do not understand, but the article said there is a theoretical black hole that exists. It's so funny. The theoretical black hole that exists where your past can be erased and you can choose from infinite futures. And one of the boxers is obsessed with this idea of the black hole being real because he feels that must be heaven. That must be the entrance to heaven, because in that place, your past disappears and nothing holds you back anymore. You can live the life that you want, regardless of your circumstances and situations. But the 4 boxers, one of them is a Latino boxer who doesn't know where he's from. His mother died getting him across the border, and he's basically in the final stages of deportation, and he needs to get an EB-1 visa. The EB-1 visa is the extraordinary visa. That's the Einstein visa, they call it. They don't give it out too often, but the way that a boxer can get it is by winning a world title. So he's fighting for a world title.
Wow.
And the other 3 boxers, because each boxer is a different compelling individual whom I want people to root for. One is a Cuban boxer who is a legendary amateur champion, double Olympic gold medalist, 3-time world amateurs, a massive record, who defected from Cuba and whose family became estranged and isolated for him for leaving them behind, for especially his father, who says that you're never going to make it as a pro. But he wants to know, can he do it? After conquering this summit, can he go higher? Can he go further? And each time he tried, because of his long career, old injuries started coming up that would end the fight prematurely, even though he was winning. And he's lost 2 times trying to get the title because of injuries that just happened to occur that rendered him unable to go on. And at 40, this is his last chance, because 40 for any athlete is geriatric practically. You really shouldn't be in any sport at 40 usually. I think golf is like the only exception to that. And he has to win the world title, or else why did he leave his homeland behind? Why did he leave his family? His father no longer speaks to him. He has to prove that this was worth it. So he can't lose. He can't lose now. The third boxer is a Mexican-American East Los Angeles boxer whose brother was a legend of the sport. And his brother unfortunately passed away due to tragic circumstances. And now with his career starting, everyone just compares him to his brother. And he wants to have a career so great that he no longer lives in that ghost shadow, and can finally have his own life, and he can finally be himself and not just in his brother's shadow, in his brother's footsteps, that he walks his own path. And finally, the last boxer is a Nuyorican boxer who is in desperate poverty. He's got a wife and kid, and he has 7 losses on his record, which in boxing, that means your career is functionally dead, and you're what's called a tomato can, a journeyman, stepping stone, who just goes in and fights people to help out their record. He's never been knocked out. He's never been knocked down. He's got an iron chin, and he knows he's never going to make it as a world champion. And so what he has done, unbeknownst to his wife and to his infant child, is he's taken a life insurance policy out of himself, and he's trying to die in the ring so that he can get them out with the life insurance policy. Yeah. And these 4 men meet each other in the ring, and they battle it out to try to make their American dream come true, to try to make something happen when life has never worked out. And they sit at the middle of this black hole that erases their past and leaves them just there in the ring and having to choose what it is that they want in this life truly. And it explores what happens when you dream, and what happens not just when you don't make it, but what happens when you do make it, and everything has been burnt out behind you. And you've made it to this place where you've succeeded. And then what? To what end is winning, is hitting that goal really as important as the journey itself, your march towards that. Because look, I've been able to do a wonderful amount as a playwright, and I've reached goals that 18-year-old me first thinking about trying to get into the theater world, 16-year-old me, 4-year-old me thinking about being a writer. I've done things I can only dream of. The moment I win a big award, it's just like, all right, next project. I can't even sit and bask in it. It's almost like, well, this was anticlimactic. Now what do I do? Now what do I do with my time? And so that play really explores those things, and it explores Latino masculinity. It explores what it is that we're willing to sacrifice to see the reaching of our goals, and the kind of tragedy that we put ourselves through in order to see a single dream come true that we just can't let go of. Because I think that is something that anyone can relate to, is like, I don't want to let it go. I can't let my life pass me by. I can't be a failure. I can't be any of these things. I promised I would provide my family with a good life. I promised I would be a champion. I promised I would be a good person. I promised all these things, and we go forward with things, and we enter into kind of like sunk cost fallacy territory, where we pursue a career long past the time that we should have left that thing, because it's just no longer good for us. We keep going on paths and journeys that are just like, am I even happy doing this anymore? And Am I, and especially for boxers, I imagine it has to be the most existential thing. Am I okay with getting punched in my face again and again for a living? Am I happy with this? But I think that everyone goes through a form of that, for at least from the mental realm. Am I willing to take this boss for the rest of my working life? Am I willing to deal with these people, with these individuals, this cruelty that seems to exist specifically in this workplace? I wanted to see what that meant, in this play. And so that play has been the most successful of my plays.
What's the name of it again?
It's called That Must Be the Entrance to Heaven. It ends. I thought it ended really nicely, but because at the end of the day, it is a personal play in which I explore myself in my 4 different facets. Being the struggle of being a father and a husband, knowing that you have to provide for your family, especially in Latino culture where the expectation to be a provider is so strong. That's the New Yorican boxer, the character of Juan, wanting to succeed and be someone to honor the sacrifice of a parent. That's the character of Edgar, trying to fight for his mother's sacrifice. And even though I'm not undocumented or anything like that, I decided to pursue the arts. And I feel like if I walked away from the arts, it would be doing a great disrespect to the mother who gave up so much so that I can be an artist. I have to see it through. I have to be someone because she gave up her life, her youth, her time so that I can be an artist. I have to honor that promise. The Cuban boxer, I need to prove to my father that I am worth something. I am someone, and I have to keep trying, even though I just don't think it's going to work out. That the character of Armando, that's me in my relationship to my father, who never quite believed in me just as a human. And then the Mexican kid who's sitting in his brother's shadow. I mean, isn't that every single Latin artist that is trying to do something where we are compared to what came before? If you want to do reggaeton, everyone's gonna be like, oh, like Daddy Yankee or Bad Bunny. And it's like, you can't carve your own path. If you want to be a writer, especially if you're Colombian, oh, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, you're going to be writing magic realism. You're going to be doing this. You have to fit in a certain box that labels your identity as this and only this. And you grow resentful of it after a while. You're grateful, you love, and it's there. But this towering shadow of Latin greatness or excellence looms over you, and you just feel like, why can I not be just myself? And so I explored those things, those aspects of myself, and I said, okay, well, what happens if my daddy issues go up and fight up against my obligations as a husband and a father? What happens if my desire to prove that my mother's investment was worth it in me meets up against being a Latin writer? And I turned them into boxers, and I fought, and I tried to figure out what is the most important to me. And at the end of the play, there's of course only 2 people. There's only 1 belt, and forget my father. I don't care. At the end of the day, my obligations as a husband and a father are much more important than impressing my dad and getting him to approve of me. And forget about the whole, oh no, I got to write magic realism. If I got to write magic realism to make my mom proud or to do her right, then that's fine too. But the big giant conflict that I have.
Wait, pause. Is before the spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Is there anywhere that people can watch this online, or is this only in person?
It's it's a script at the moment. I can send it out to anyone if they reach out or reach out on my socials, and I'm happy to send the script over. It hasn't yet been published in playwriting. You kind of have to wait for a little while after like a few productions before pursuing publication, but I'm happy to send it.
Because I want to see the climactic, but I want the ending, the resolution.
Right.
Let's vote. Deanna, Jason, do you want to hear the ending? Spoiler alert. Or do you want to wait till
No, I don't want to hear it. No.
Yeah.
Sorry, Frank.
Yeah. No, absolutely. No, I mean, I think
it's so good.
Yeah, but I think for me, the end point of it is, as an artist exploring the different facets of myself, what does win in the end? My obligations as a provider, as a husband and a father,
Mhm.
or my obligation to my mother's sacrifice in pursuing
Mm,
the arts.
that is so good. I want this to be an anime.
And yeah, right. Shoot,
Mentally.
are you kidding me? I would love for it to be an anime, but yeah, that's probably my most like important play, like in terms of my relevance as a writer. The other ones, if I'm talking about personal to me, solo shows. I've written 2 solo shows for my son, that explore what it means to be a father and explore my different struggles as a human being, with figuring out how to become a dad when dad was a bad word. Now I'm the bad word.
Mm.
That's called Paleta de Coco, and it happens over 4 Christmas Eves in my life. um, and trying to find what it means to be a dad and to look for my father, now that I've become a father. And they explore these 4 Christmas Eves, very, very personal stories in my life, that lots of content and trigger warnings. But then the second play is about my weight issues. It's called Heart Stop, and realizing that I might be dying. My body's self-destructing, and I need to do something about this, or I'm not going to be there for my son in the same way that my father wasn't there for me, and so I have to fight to try to get it back. And so I developed a play where I lose weight on stage for people, in front of people, and I risk it all, in this attempt to this final last ditch effort to lose weight. So those are personally important, but they haven't gotten quite the acclaim of like the boxing play, or the prison dramas, or yeah.
Well, I like how it's all just an exploration of who you are. Like you said, the different
Yeah.
facets
Yeah.
and revealing that. And I think as an artist, that's kind of the things you're sharing parts of your soul and giving it. And that's where the humanity connects. Man, this is so good.
Yeah. Amazing.
Good job on your offspring, Deanna. No, I mean, and Jason, if you have any questions, I have like 1,000. Like I have a novel that I wrote down here of questions I just want to dig into. But Jason, Deanna, if you have anything
Yeah.
to throw there,
Yeah.
man.
All this is just resonating. And Frank, I think I met you and Diana at an ERG, possibly. And I think I'm not sure if, yeah, if I met your wife or your fiance at the time. I'm trying to remember. But yeah, man. So everything that you're saying is as an artist, it's, never give up, at the same time, right?
Mhm.
What resonates me right now is your mom. Mad respect and props. I didn't really grow up with my mom, and um, the thing that I see a lot, especially here in Texas, is like when you have a dream and it's a fantasy. Like, it's like, wait, what do you want to do? You want to be an actor? You want to write? Like, no, that's you're local. What's going on? No, you want to be a doctor. You need to go to school. It's got to be labor. It's got to you got to be a manager. You got to do this. It's so for your mom to recognize your talent, your skill, and everything, and to not even question it, but other than, hey, no, you're gonna do this.
Mhm.
That's amazing to have that support and recognition by your parents and the resources too. Uh, Amazing. Hats off to your mom. Awesome, Dana.
Yeah, and dear heavens, this is so deep. And I want to throw out this question to you, Diana. So I went through a very similar journey as you, Frankie. I mean, almost identical. The nose all the way up till about 27, when I got my big break and became a full-time professional speaker, break dancer, traveling the country. But it was always no, 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 no. Same thing with the Yale and Harvard elites. I applied to these scholarships through the National Speakers Association, which was a very white kind of production. And in their magazine, I was like, I'm the only Hispanic in here, but I don't have a photo up. Like, it's just my name, and everybody else had, this is Brett from here and Johnny. And I'm like, what? And how many of those people are still speakers? And so, Deanna, I want to ask you, because there was the struggle that Frankie was going through as an artist. And I kind of hid a lot of this from my parents. When I struggled, I was living credit card to credit card because I didn't want them to, one, bail me out, but I also didn't want them to worry. How were you as a mom on the outside watching, the struggle? Were you like, tag me in, mijo, let me come save you? Or is it like, you got to carve your own path? You're a father now, you're married. Like, how are you handling all this?
I tend to be a helicopter mom, and Frankie and Daniel can let you know that. But they were very quick to set the boundaries. Well, my youngest was really the one that sets the boundaries. It's painful when you see your children, especially like when I see Frankie's writings. This is what he's feeling inside. I mean, I love his writing. I'm his number one fan. I love it. But then to see in paper, or when I hear it, when I attend his performances, when they're out there and I hear, because he's pouring his soul into it, it hurts because my baby is hurting. And so, and that's a difficult thing, but I know that, he's a strong young man, and I know that, he has a purpose. And he has a mission in this world, and he has a son that adores him and family that adores him. And it's very difficult, I would say, at moments. And then there are moments, those proud moments, that you're like, yes, I knew that. I knew it. And I pretty much, gave him both my boys, gave him the option of pursue your dreams. I never wanted them to ever have that doubt. What if things were done differently? Like if I would have, no, you pursue it. I'm here for you. But also giving them their space. And also learning, because I, as a mom, made many mistakes. Sometimes I meddled when I shouldn't have meddled, learn my moments, know my boundaries, and they would let me know, I made a lot of mistakes, and both my boys can attest to that. But the wonderful thing about both my boys is they have huge hearts and they're forgiving, and they're able to, forgive me for my mistakes.
Wow. I mean, this is therapy. This is hope. This is so much. So thank you. Some snaps there. You pretty much gave your sons the permission to struggle as well, and that I think that serves a lot. And only because right now I'm thinking of my parents too. My mom was like, "You're going to college. No, I'm going to be a dancer. No, you're going to college. Call your uncle. Get into UT. No, I'm going to be a dancer." But because of that good pressure, that opened up all these opportunities.
Yeah.
And and I know, like Frankie, like that same creative brain wavelength is like, I got to prove myself. And I want to ask, like, when were you deciding, look, there's no going back, there's no contingency plan? Because I mean, I didn't have a kid at your age. I waited till I was 40, which brings up a whole another thing. But you were supporting a family. You had a wife who was openly saying, like, look, I'm not paying in these coins. I mean, that is hard. Mm-hmm. When was the point you decided, like, I'm taking off the parachute and this is it?
Yeah. I've told several of my mentees, whenever you decide to pursue the arts, and my mentor actually told me, one of my mentors told me this: imagine that you're going to die in 7 days. It doesn't matter why, it doesn't matter how. Just know that you will die in 7 days. In that time that you have remaining, you need to write down what it is that you want to do. All of the things. Make that list of all the things that you want to do. And this is how you'll know if you're an artist. If you are not spending 6 of those days trying to get as many of your pieces out as possible, and the last day dying, maybe this isn't for you. Maybe you look at that list of things that you absolutely have to do in the remaining days that you have left, and that's the thing that you need to pursue for the rest of your life. Because when push comes to shove, this is the thing that you'd be focusing on. And it's in a way sad to know that you'd be spending your last days trying to write as many plays as possible. But at the same time, that's how I knew. It doesn't matter if I'd have gotten famous or anything like that. I foolishly been pursuing playwriting from the age of 16 to 27 with nothing but rejections before those yeses started coming in. If I had no home, if I lived in the biggest mansion, I think I'd still be writing plays anyway. I'd still be writing scripts anyway, because it's how I found self-expression in a world that doesn't necessarily prize self-expression from particularly young men of color. So it became one of those things that I'm still doing this no matter what, and there really is nothing anyone can do to stop me, because I was doing this when I was living in a tiny cramped room during college. I was doing this when I was at one point for a little while sleeping inside a walk-in closet. I will do this if I have money, if I don't have money. And so even if there's that slight disapproval or the questioning of whether or not this is the right thing to do, it's all I know how to do, is to make this thing happen. It's not that there isn't a plan B as much as I don't know how to do much else. I wasn't very brilliant at sales. I was okay, but it wasn't like one of those things where it's like, this is where I'm going to make my living, especially not in a commission-based job. But writing, I would always do. To my last day, I would probably be writing. Every day I wake up thinking of Act 2, Scene 3. I think of a character moment from a play that I wrote 8 years ago and realized that's how I fix that play. And I haven't thought about that play in 5 years. My wife makes a joke and it's funny, but at the same time, I know there's a little bit of sadness with it. She said, if I had known that you were already married, I would have never gotten with you.
Wow.
There isn't any stop with this. I wake up knowing I have to write a play. I have to do this thing. I have to get this thought out. I have to make something and leave something behind for my kid. The pursuit is now trying to make IP that he can draw money from after I'm gone. But but at the same time, I'd be writing no matter what. It was never really one of those, like, I had to make a plan whether or not I'm going to plan out my life around pursuing writing. Whether or not it was my career, I would still be writing. It was just going to be that for me always. It's just so very, very fortunate that I've had mentors, an encouraging family, with my wife and my mother, and my brother as well. It was to have them there until finally the breakthrough happened,
Oh, this is so good. And for those of you listening that are creatives, you're an artist, you're someone who writes, everything that I'm getting from you is like, you have to be able to live with the rejections. I mean, 10 years, 11 years of rejections. Mm-hmm. I love that you brought up mentors, that you had people speaking into your life, really giving you guidance on that. You had a supportive mom, and if, depending how much you let her into your life, you set some boundaries and went with that. And the helicopter mom, I think that's a Mexican mom thing. You want the best for your kids. And good night. I mean, it's just so hard. I honestly, I think we need to have you back, because we haven't even really discussed the creative journey, for the artists out there, unpacking this.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, wow. Cause how old is your son now?
He's 9 now. He's 9, and he knows it. He's very cute. And he utilizes that to his full advantage, as he's turned the entire house against me. He's a little Latin American dictator, and I'm okay with that. I've gotten over the fact that I will never have control of my life again. But yeah, it is interesting. A lot of people talk about the creative journey, and they talk about their singular, like, oh, I made this piece, I was all by myself. I don't believe in auteur theory. I think that you only make it with other people believing in you. You only make it with other people saying, yeah, no, I can I can help you, I can assist you, or I will do this. And that comes into for me, the sunk cost fallacy world. My wife and my mother have given up a lot so that I can be an artist. My brother has put aside things for himself that was there for me, that he didn't have to. And I no longer think about winning awards. I no longer think about getting the fame or the recognition. The only reason that any of that stuff interests me is that I have to give them something in a kind of repayment. The trophies keep them. The first trophy I got, my wife snatched it from me and she's like, "This one's mine." I'm just like, "Yeah, it's yours. Yes, dear." And if and when she leaves me, she'll probably get that in the settlement. It's like
fighting it to see if it's real gold.
Exactly. You go on, take the trophy. It's all yours. But it's really for them at this point. And because I got mine. My greatest dream was to only have a reading in New York. I got my greatest dream a time ago. And now everything is bonus at this point.
Very cool. I don't know if we have enough time. I just wanted for another question. It was talking about, Patrick, your question too, the creativity process. Real quick question: do you write with a pencil, or do you type it in your laptop? How does that?
So my handwriting is worse than doctors. It is awful. Like I cannot read my own handwriting. I look at him just like, what did I write here? What is this? What is this?
He writes so tiny.
And chicken scratch. Yeah, it's awfully tiny.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just I type. I learned how to type very quickly. The other thing is like, I think I might have undiagnosed ADHD. I don't know what it is, but like I can type something like 150 words a minute, and I need to be able to have an instrument that goes as fast as my brain does. Yeah. Because writing, I'm a slow writer as well as a terrible writer, and lefty. Let me tell you. I just on my laptop. Yeah, left-handed. But I get on my laptop and I just type away. There are times, and it worries my family sometimes. I will wake up and I'm like, I gotta go. See ya. And I might leave for a day or two and end up at some 24-hour joint just writing a play.
Wow.
And there wasn't a play there before, not even a page. And then I'll come back with the full-length play, and it'll be 32, 33 hours later. I'll be like, hey, I finished the play. I'm going to try to see if we can get some money off of it. And I'll go to sleep for like 13 hours, and tremendously worries my family. Actually, that's how I got my first cell phone, is I disappeared writing a play, and my mother could not find me, reach me, or anything. And I had no cell phone. And so she's like, you're getting a cell phone from here on out. I will bear the expense. You're getting a cell phone. I'm just like, all right, sure. I guess I'll get the cell phone. And with my wife, she's just like, just please send me a little like thumbs up emoji.
You're still alive.
I will just go. Like I will go, and then I'll call and I'll be like, hey, I'm in San Diego. I don't know how I ended up here, but I finished a play. I'm coming home soon. Bye.
Awesome, dude.
That's a story right there, Franky. That's a story right there.
I just get up and I'm like, bye. And they're like, where are you going? It's like, Indiana. And they're like, what do you mean, Indiana? And it's like, gone. And I'm just gone.
True.
Who does that?
That is your superpower. I think it is ADHD, because it's the impulsivity, peace out, and then the hyper focus. You get that hyper focus till it's done, and that is your superpower.
It feels like that. It feels like that. Yeah, and people will just be like, "Hey, do you want to do this reading? It's going to be in Miami." And I'll be like, when? It's in like 3 weeks. Do you think you can come out? Let me see what the credit card can manage. And I'll just. And then I'll be like, oh yeah, and it'll be a dinner. It'll be like, oh yeah, guys, I'm going to Florida for a month. I'll be back. I gotta make this play premiere happen. Or it's like, oh, I'm up for an award in Chicago. I'll be back tomorrow. Goodbye. Wow. And I'll just leave. And I know it drives everyone mad, but I just live in this bubble where I'm like, I gotta go out right now. Got to schedule this.
I think the story.
It's so true. It is very true. Go ahead,
think
Jason.
I think the story should just be about the worrying of someone, and the family. It's like, where is he at? I don't know, and the chase, and like all of a sudden, like, I gotta call the police. He's been missing for 2 days, and then all of a sudden you walk in, it's like, I got it.
Yeah, that's the plight of the creative. No, I mean,
right.
so I'm on the opposite side of this because the same, just sporadically in Austin. There's always something to do, somewhere to go. But we're on the outskirts of Austin now, so I can't just get there. So I started having to take meds this year just to kind of like even things out because I don't have that impulsivity fix. Just bam, bam, bam. So to all the ADHD people out there, you be you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Be you.
Saint Franky is here to tell you can just be you.
So go on that journey. See what happens. Weird things will happen. Like it's just like always. I end up in some kind of weird situation where I'll call up everyone and it's just like, yeah, so it looks like I have an agent now. I'm gonna do this TV gig for 20 weeks. I'll be in LA until then. Goodbye, and like hang up the phone and just like it's like just see what happens. I very much embrace the all right, let's I want to see where the story ends. Let me go on the journey of the story. Don't it's like improv. In improv, the one word you should never say to your partner is no. Always say yes to the journey. And so I have to yes and it with the journey. And I just got back in from San Diego a few days ago, and this trip was completely unplanned, and I just went out and it's like, let's go do some stuff here in San Diego and see what happens. Drives everyone up a wall. And I swear, if and when it works out, gosh, I hope it works out. It's a real big gamble. But if it works out, I promised whatever you want, house, clothes, shoes, it's all yours because I am flighty. The only thing that my wife is like, I would really worry more about an affair, but what person's going to be dealing with you? I'm just like, you're not wrong on that one. Yeah, that's about right. Like one day you just get up and be like, I want to go get some coffee, and then I'll be gone for a day. And and then come back and just like I at least know it's not an affair. I couldn't do a double life, I can't do it. I can barely handle my current life. A double life? No, forget it. It's gotta be art. That's about it.
You want to give massive kudos to your wife. What's your wife's name?
Sukina, I am so frustrated with this man. Bentami is her name. I drive her up a wall, and
mad props to your wife.
Love her. Yeah, mad props to her because
super kudos.
Yeah, she goes through it. Let me tell you. But yeah, it's an amazing thing, the creative process. But I do feel like I get taken by this thing. Something hits me. I'll see a painting. I'll hear a song, some note, and it's usually some kind of like in a song. It's like a chord progression, do 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 do, and I hear that. I'm like, oh, that's the sound. That's the thing. Or I see a movie, and the emotion that it inspires me. It's like that's what I want. If I can make the audience feel what I'm feeling right now in this movie, this is what I want to do, and so I will have that movie or that moment on repeat. My last one was Gattaca with Jude Law and Ethan Hawke. It's such an amazing movie. But there's that moment where Ethan Hawke is about to go into space. No spoiling or anything like that. But there's this just beautifully moving moment with a scientist about a test that has to be taken before Ethan Hawke can go to space. And it's just this I wept, and I'm like, this is what I want to capture. Boom. And I would just have that scene playing as I'm writing away, or I'll hear a song, or it could even be like a loop, a sample loop. And it's like, that's the thing. There it is right there. And so the house sometimes gets filled up with weird music that's playing all the time because this is the song or the playlist that I'm trying to use to capture the feeling that I want to evoke in this script. And so I'll do that, or I'll get into some kind of weird situation where it's just like, yeah, some middle-aged men asked me to go hang out with them and do some sauna stuff. And I feel like this is a great use of my time. as an artist. So off I go. Goodbye. And everyone's like, wait, what? And I'm already gone by the time they figured out.
I'm gonna let my wife listen to this episode because she was just gonna be like, how does his wife handle this?
Yeah.
She doesn't. She doesn't. I have to do a lot of things. Like I have to cook. I have to go to like when I come back. Ooh, do I pay for it? She suffers for my excesses. Boy, does she ever! But I have to repay all the time. And if it's kid duty, that's on me. That is your son. That I'm reminded all the time. That's your son. Deal with him. It's like, yeah, that's right. Okay, I'll do that.
Oh, this is awesome. This is so good. This is reassuring to me. I'm like, okay, this isn't just a random like, oh yeah, by the way, I applied for this grant. I got $12,000 to go do a show now in like 3 months. So it's just like, yeah, it's
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens. Yeah, it's like, hey, I won the award. I won in New York. Bye.
Oh wow. We need to get him back on, Deanna. There's so much to unpack.
Give it back to you, Diana.
Perfect. Well, thank you. Yes, we're definitely going to have him back on. There is one thing that I just wanted to, because we're going to wrap it up real quick, but I just wanted to ask you a question. Can you share your Joseph, my grandson's success story that you recently shared with me?
Oh, that he's going to be running with the torch for the Special Olympics.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a torchbearer. Yeah, he's doing things in the realm of athletics that I could never hope to accomplish. With my very broken up body, I'm very proud of him. He's going to be actually being. He's going to do a part of the relay of the torch bearing for the Special Olympics in his area, and I'm very proud of him. And that's going to happen in 3 days on the 25th.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So we're very excited. We just found out the news yesterday, and that's the most wonderful thing about having a child is that their accomplishments are the thing that you look at and you realize I am so very, very happy I get to witness this, these moments, these milestones. And it leaves me in confusion, and it might be for another time, but it leaves me in confusion so often. Why would anyone not want to be part of this?
Yeah.
Why would anyone want to walk away? It's just a wonderful thing to be able to see him thrive and grow and overcome his own obstacles on his own like grit and force of will and see him do the things that he wants to do. So I'm very proud of him, and I know he's going to grow up to be a much better, much less flighty man than me. But he's a light of my life, and he's my grand muse, and I'm very, very proud of him being able to do this.
Amazing. And so proud of you.
Thank you for sharing that.
So proud of moms as well. And your wife.
Good job, moms.
It's all Diana.
Mama D.
Such a great support system here. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It goes all around. It goes all around because he's a great support system for everyone in this house. He really is. I'm going to say Franky's a special individual because he has to deal with all of our craziness and kookiness in this house because we're all are kind of special. And he's a level-headed one in the house.
The one who goes on random trips and just disappears for days at a time is the level-headed one.
That says a lot.
Right?
Wow.
Yep.
There's a lot about us. But okay. But yeah, we would definitely love to schedule something in the future again. I wish we had more time because this was some really, really good stuff that we just covered and unpacked.
Yeah.
So we'll schedule something out to unpack some more and talk about some of your other works and inspiration and what motivates you and your advice to one last thing before we go. What would you like to say to the audience that are currently right now struggling?
Whatever you might think about what happens after this life is over, we don't know for sure. We have no access to the past, as far as we know, where we can go back and fix our mistakes. and we have no access to tomorrow. We have only this moment, only now. So why, in having this gift of only now, would you waste it thinking about things that you can't change and trying to affect things that you cannot know will happen? Just do the thing that you want to do in this life. The worst that can happen is no. And the absolute worst thing that can happen is you get the ending that you were going to get anyway, because it all ends. It all same, after a while, the richest person and the poorest person has the same fate. We have not yet conquered the summit of mortality. So with what you have now, with what time you do have, with what little resources you have, however much or however little, just do the thing. Live this life with no regrets. Life in and of itself is a massive gamble. So why not place the bet on yourself? Take the leap. You can do anything. It is possible. It is difficult, but it is possible. You can do anything you dream. I have seen it. I'm a living testament to that. But don't let this beautiful moment of right now go, because it is beautiful and it passes so quickly. And suddenly you're wondering, is this it? Don't let yourself ask, is this it? Leave yourself wanting more. Leave yourself wanting to keep doing the thing that you most want. And if it should end, know when it's time to go. No one to hold them, no one to fold them. Because you have many lives in you, not just this one thing. You can do so many things and be so many things. It doesn't have to just be defined by one identity. It can be so much. But you do need to take that first step. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. Take the step now. Don't wait. Tomorrow's not promised, and yesterday ain't coming back. You only got today.
Love that. Oh. Thank you so much. What a great ending.
Wow. That was my favorite.
All right. We will definitely have Franky back on, and for our subscribers, please, for our listeners, please subscribe to Life in Between. Join. And I'm going to let Patrick or Jason take the lead from here.
Paper, rock, scissors, Jason.
I'll give it to you, man. I'm too sensitive right now. I'm going to cry. Don't let me cry.
And for the listeners, if you have a question for the next time Franky comes on, please email us, lifeandinbetweenpodcast@gmail.com. Any questions you may have, we'll throw them out there, because this was good. This was, I don't know, I think this was my favorite episode. Not to diss on Deanna and Jason, but this was my favorite episode so far. And with that, we will have another special guest next week. We'll keep it a secret, but let's just say we will turn the tides of this testosterone-filled podcast with all of your patriarchal energy here. We'll have some more estrogen in the house. So you've been listening to the Life and In Between podcast. Stay tuned, recycle, and don't forget to floss.